You're liking Southeast Asia in particular, but there's been a massive sell-off. The region not quite the darlings of investors, but you're still liking them?
Loving it. I think indeed a tough region to do business, but there are so many positives, so many opportunities in this region, and we're doing well.
What kind of growth, what kind of numbers are you looking at? What's driving the optimism?
We've got, for my region, my business, it'll be in the high single digits, and this is clearly a share growth business.
But clearly, lots of volatility. Take a look at the currencies. They've been smacked. But take a look at, how they've done so far. The Indian rupee, Philippine peso, Indonesian rupee are among the worst currencies in all of Asia year to date.
Goodness, usually I just came from a meeting on how to handle the way the peso is going, and we've been working the rupee. At the end of the day, the currency volatility is here to stay. And what we have to do as businesses that operate across multiple markets is find ways to insulate that and make sure that we're able to weather the volatilities that are inherent, whether it is currencies or commodities or other.
Lots of competition because we have local domestic players, names coming and competing with your brands. What's your strategy? At
the end of the day, our model is to provide a superior product to our consumers. And as long as we hold to that and stay true to that, we find that we can continue serving consumers in a disproportionate way. And therefore, that comes down to superior product, superior packaging, superior communication at great value. And oh, by the way, make sure products are available to more and more people from a distribution standpoint.
Yeah, Suran, David here in Hong Kong. I just actually wanted to do a follow-up on what you mentioned, your currency exposure, because a lot of the hard work that you do might just go to waste if you're not hedged properly. Are you finding yourself having to hedge more of your currency exposure? Because these are big markets you're in, the Philippines, Indonesia, and some of the worst hit currencies, as Haz was pointing out. So what's the strategy here in currency exposure?
David, indeed. From a hedging standpoint, we typically don't take specific hedge positions. Rather, with the diversity of our portfolio, diversity of our markets, and being prepared allows us to weather the storms typically. And I found that over the 3 years I've been in the region, we've been able to do that very effectively.
Now, we talk a lot about the lack of inflation on our programs here. You see and feel these price pressures from a very unique standpoint because of your businesses. A two-part question for you. Are you feeling more upward pressure on your gross margins, the cost of goods sold part of the equation? And equally, are you seeing or are you confident about raising prices across those markets?
Indeed. We are seeing the upward pressure on costs. On pricing, where our product warrants pricing, we will take it. But my strategy is to have a consistent stream of innovation that allows us to serve consumers at both the higher and higher tiers, premiumization, as well as make sure our core and our base is able to expand. This two-tier strategy allows us to be able to weather most storms within normal limits.
But is there a sense that you will have to pass down the cost to the consumers, and to what extent have you done that?
Ideally, we would not. Ideally, we would keep innovating both from a product standpoint as well as from a cost productivity standpoint. And I think this is a way of all companies. And therefore, the cost savings, working with our partners, is a relentless drive in this industry and likely in any other industry.
You've been expanding. What may be some of your acquisition plans?
At the end of the day, we are focused on 10 core categories as a company. Within that, we're committed to playing fully in each of these 10 categories. Within my market, we have got enough on our plate to keep going for the next few years without any new products or categories necessarily. There's so much opportunity in the 105 countries that I serve.
Suran, you also sit on the board of US-ASEAN, the Business Council, so I'm sure you follow all these negotiations going on in trade here. What concerns you the most about this?
It's quite fun, isn't it, David? And at the end of the day, free trade helps all. And this is something that we would obviously support, champion. That said, with the footprint that we have in each of the markets, we can also operate effectively in the regions that we get to serve the consumer. So in the APAC region or in the IMEA region, what we find is the trade practices within the region allow us to
Right.
conduct business in a fairly straightforward way.